Ever feel like you're working towards this perfect life, like for your kids, and then bam, everything you thought you knew just crumbles.
Mm.
It's kind of what happened with the Pan family. It's messed up. Anyway, that's what we're going to look at today.
Yeah, it's really something.
We've got all these court documents and like psych reports and even some articles like recent ones that really flip the script on this whole thing.
It's wild. It seems like just typical teenage rebellion, right? But then when you really get into it, it's like, whoa, there's so much deception and manipulation, and like it gets violent,
Yeah.
way beyond normal parent-teen stuff.
Totally. So Jennifer Pan, right? Daughter of Han and Big Pan. They were immigrants, worked super hard, built a good life, the whole Canadian dream thing.
Yeah.
And Jennifer, she was their golden child, or so they thought.
The crazy thing is how much she lied. It wasn't just sneaking out or fudging a grade. I mean, she created this whole fake life, starting with, get this, forged report cards.
That's intense. I can't imagine living a lie like that for years. What was she thinking?
Well, it seems like a few things were going on. Like the pressure from her parents was huge. They wanted her to be a doctor. And when she couldn't cut it, the lies started, just to avoid letting them down.
She was trapped.
Yeah.
Like living a life that wasn't really hers, all to keep up this perfect daughter act.
Right. And that feeling of being trapped, it went beyond just school. Like she was dating this guy, Daniel Wong, but her parents had super strict rules about dating. So naturally, she falls for him anyway. The relationship became like this symbol of her rebellion.
Forbidden love never ends well.
Hmm.
But I'm guessing there's got to be more to it than just that.
Definitely. The romance was a big part of it, but there's more. The psychological reports suggest she was someone who needed control. Like she felt stifled by her parents, all the rules, the lies, the secret boyfriend. It was her way of taking back some control.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But sadly, that need for control went way too far. She wanted to escape her life, but not in a healthy way. She chose violence.
Yeah, and that's where things get really dark. Jennifer and Daniel, they decided to hire hitmen to kill her parents.
Hold on. She actually wanted them dead. Like, for real. This wasn't some teenage runaway fantasy.
It wasn't. The evidence is pretty clear. They got in touch with this guy, called him homeboy. He was a career criminal, agreed to do it for $10,000.
Wow. Chilling. So calculated. But what about her parents? How did they fit into all of this?
So the plan went down on November 8th, 2010. Guys break into the house, shoot Han and Bick. Jennifer calls 911, acts all freaked out, so she's tied up.
Playing the victim.
Yeah.
Not surprised, to be honest, given how manipulative she was.
But right away, the cops thought something was off. Like, she was way too calm after something so traumatic.
I see what you mean. Even if you're in shock, wouldn't you expect some kind of reaction, terror, anything?
You would think. And that's not all. There's On, so he pulls through, right. And when he's able to talk, his story is totally different from Jennifer's. Like, he remembers her talking to one of the attackers like it was nothing.
No way.
Yeah.
So she's acting all innocent, but chilling with the guys who tried to kill her parents. That's messed up.
Totally. It just shows how deep her lies went. The police were already suspicious, but Han's story, that was the proof they needed.
I bet they went all in, found all kinds of stuff that didn't add up.
Oh, yeah. The door was unlocked, nothing valuable was stolen, and she had hidden cash. It all pointed to a setup, not a random break-in. Plus, there were the phone records.
Ah, the phone records. Those are always the nail in the coffin.
For sure. And the text is between Jennifer, Daniel, and the hitman. Incriminating, to say the least. They talked about the plan, haggling over the price, the whole 9 yards.
So what did she say when they had all that evidence? What was her defense?
In court, she tried to flip the script, saying she was the victim because her parents were so strict.
So blaming them for her actions.
Exactly. It's a common tactic, Make the bad guys seem like they were pushed to do it. But the jury wasn't buying it. The evidence was too strong. She planned it, and she was cold-blooded about it.
So justice was served, right?
Seemed like it. Jennifer, Daniel, and 2 of the hitmen got life in prison. But this is where it gets crazy.
Oh, there's more. What happened? Some new evidence.
Not exactly. They were granted a retrial because of a technicality.
A technicality? What does that even mean?
It's complicated, but basically there was a problem with how they picked the jury the first time. It was a procedural error, but legally it means the verdict might not have been fair.
So even though they were found guilty, they get another chance to prove they're innocent.
Pretty much. It throws the whole case up in the air again.
Wow, this is getting more and more twisted. I can't imagine what Jennifer's parents are going through, having to relive this whole thing.
It's got to be tough. The retrial means going back to that night, the betrayal, everything.
It's all so tragic. They seem like the perfect family, but underneath, it was all messed up. It makes you think, can you ever really know anyone?
Right. The Pans had it all, but there was so much hidden beneath the surface.
It's like a lesson, you know? Don't try to be perfect and deal with your problems no matter how tough it gets.
I agree. This case raises so many questions about families, communication, and the pressure to be something you're not.
And now, with the retrial, there are even more questions. What will Jennifer say this time? Will she play the abuse card even harder?
Maybe. They might try to make her seem more sympathetic, focus on her mental state, any trauma she experienced.
But how do you explain the fact that she planned this whole thing so carefully?
That's the challenge for the defense. They have to convince the jury that even though what she did was horrible, there were reasons for it.
It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Will they find new evidence? How will the lawyers argue their cases?
We'll see if the retrial changes anything, or if the jury comes to the same conclusion.
This case is a reminder that truth is complicated. Even when you think you know everything, there's always more to the story. It's just crazy to me, like going to those lengths to escape your life, even if you feel stuck. Isn't there always another way?
That's what's so important here, I think. Jennifer's case shows us how crucial it is to spot mental health problems early. You know? Like if she'd felt safe enough to open up to someone, to get help for all that pressure, all that unhappiness she was carrying, maybe things could have been different.
Yeah, that's true. We
Yeah.
never really know what's happening behind closed doors, right? Someone
Mm.
can have it all, the family, the money, but inside they're falling apart.
Exactly. And that's why talking to each other is so important, especially in families. Creating that space where kids feel like they can say what they really feel, even if it's negative or goes against what their parents want, it can make all the difference.
It breaks my heart to think she felt so alone, like she couldn't talk to anyone, and that violence became her only escape.
It's a tragedy for everyone. Not just for Jennifer and what she did, but for her parents, too. They were victims in all this.
So, with this retrial coming up, is there anything specific you'll be looking for? What could change things this time?
Hmm. I'm really curious to see how they handled Daniel Wong. At first, he seems like he was just being used by Jennifer, but it's not clear how much he actually planned and did.
So, what he says could really impact how much responsibility he gets.
Exactly. And we'll see if his story matches up with what Jennifer says or if he tries to distance himself from her.
This whole case, it really makes you think about truth, about manipulation, about how far people will go when they feel backed into a corner.
It does. It forces us to look at some hard truths about ourselves and the people in our lives. Even families that seem totally normal can have dark secrets, you know? And sometimes it's hard to tell who's the victim and who's to blame.
Well, we've definitely given our listeners a lot to chew on today. This is the kind of deep dive that sticks with you even after it's over.
It really is. The Jennifer Pan case, it just shows how complicated people are and how our choices can affect everyone around us.
And we'll definitely keep you posted on any big developments with the retrial. In the meantime, if you're interested in learning more, check out the sources for yourself. There's always more to discover.
And if there's one takeaway from this, it's to talk to each other, be kind, and get help if you need it. Whether you're struggling yourself or worried about someone else, there's support out there, and you don't have to go through it alone.
Great point. And to everyone listening, thanks for coming with us on this journey into the dark side of the Pan family. Make sure to subscribe to The Deep Dive for more deep dives like this one. We'll be back soon with another incredible story to explore. Until then, stay curious.